For generations, the Galactic Council laughed at Earth. They mocked our gravity, our wars, our stubbornness, calling humanity a primitive relic from a forgotten world. So Earth went silent. We built, we learned, we evolved, and when the time came to answer back, we didn't send a message, we sent a fleet. The stars burned with our return, and for the first time, the galaxy finally understood. Humanity had been listening all along. The Silent Observers. The research vessel Pathfinder drifted through the asteroid field beyond Neptune. Its sensors pointed toward the distant stars. Inside the cramped observation room, Dr. Marcus Hall watched streams of data flow across his screens. He had been monitoring alien communications for 18 months, and every day brought new revelations about a galaxy humanity knew nothing about. Marcus leaned back in his chair and rubbed his tired eyes. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed. On his screen, another transmission from something called the Galactic Assembly was being decoded. The translation software worked through the alien language, converting it into English text that made his stomach turn. The primitive species in Sector 7 continue their clumsy expansion, one alien delegate was saying. Their vessels leak radiation like wounded animals. It is almost pitiful to watch them struggle with technology we mastered 20,000 years ago. Another voice joined in, this one producing sounds like grinding metal. The humans are particularly amusing. They believe themselves ready for the stars because they can barely reach their neighboring planets. Perhaps we should send them a gift of simple tools to help them along. Laughter echoed through the transmission. Marcus had heard enough of these conversations to recognize the sound of contempt. He saved the recording and added it to the growing archive that Earth's government had been building since the first alien signals were detected 3 years ago. The door to the observation room opened, and Commander Rachel Torres entered. She carried 2 fresh cups of coffee and set one down beside Marcus. Her uniform was crisp despite the late hour, and her dark eyes held the same determination that had made her the youngest commander in the Earth Space Initiative. "Another productive session?" she asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Marcus gestured at the screen where the alien conversation continued. "They're discussing trade routes through human space. They don't even consider asking permission. To them, we don't exist as equals. We're just an inconvenient infestation in territory they consider theirs." Rachel watched the translated text scroll past. Her jaw tightened, but her voice remained calm. "How many species are part of this assembly?" 63 confirmed members, Marcus replied. "They've been working together for over 15,000 years. Their technology is centuries ahead of anything we've publicly developed. Their ships can cross the galaxy in weeks. Their weapons can destroy planets. And they think we're primitives playing with toys." "That's the generous interpretation," Marcus said dryly. "Most of them don't think about us at all." Rachel pulled up a chair and sat down. "The director wants your latest report. The council meets tomorrow to decide our next move." Marcus pulled up a file containing hundreds of hours of intercepted communications. "I've documented 17 separate occasions where assembly members discussed humanity. Every single conversation was dismissive at best, hostile at worst. They view us as a minor curiosity, not worth their attention except as a subject for mockery." He played another recording, this one from a public assembly broadcast. The speaker was a creature that looked like a floating crystal formation, its surface refracting light into rainbow patterns. "When humanity finally builds a proper starship, perhaps we will allow them to apply for probationary membership," the alien said. "In another 1,000 years, they might advance enough to be useful as laborers or technicians for our infrastructure projects." Rachel's hands clenched into fists. "They want to make us servants." "Only if we prove ourselves worthy of that honor," Marcus said bitterly. "Most assembly members think we'll destroy ourselves before we ever leave our solar system. They're taking bets on how long we'll last." For several minutes, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the quiet hum of the ship's life support systems and the steady flow of data streaming in from deep space. Finally, Rachel broke the silence. "You know what we've been building," she said quietly. "Out here, away from their sensors." Marcus nodded. He knew. Everyone involved in the Earth Space Initiative knew. While the assembly laughed at humanity's primitive rockets and slow vessels, Earth had been developing technology in secret. The breakthrough had come 5 years ago, when Dr. Sarah Kim discovered a new principle of physics that allowed for faster-than-light travel. The assembly didn't know about it because Earth had never announced it. Instead, humanity had quietly built a fleet. "How many ships do we have now?" Marcus asked. 47 combat vessels fully operational, Rachel said. Another 30 in final testing. And the colonies are established on 8 systems that the assembly has never bothered to explore, because they considered them worthless. Marcus pulled up a star chart showing human expansion. Red dots marked the secret colonies, hidden from alien sensors by careful planning and advanced stealth technology. "We've learned from them," he said. "Everything they do, we study. Every weakness they show, we note. They think we're ignorant, but we've been watching them longer than they realize. The question is what we do with that knowledge," Rachel said. The answer came sooner than anyone expected. 3 days later, the human transport ship New Beginning dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a planet humanity had named Haven. It was supposed to be a routine supply run to the colony there. Instead, the ship found itself surrounded by assembly patrol vessels. The lead ship was massive, easily 10 times the size of New Beginning. Its commander was a species called the Vorath, creatures that resembled upright reptiles with silver scales and multiple arms. Captain David Chen stood on his bridge and watched the alien vessel move closer. "They're hailing us," his communications officer said nervously. David straightened his uniform. "Open the channel." The Vorath commander appeared on screen, its yellow eyes examining the human ship with obvious disdain. "Primitive vessel, you are in assembly-controlled space without authorization. You will surrender your ship and crew immediately for processing." David kept his voice steady. "This is Captain David Chen of the United Earth Government. We're on a peaceful mission to our colony. We mean no harm and request permission to continue." The Vorath made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "United Earth Government? How pretentious. You primitives have no government that matters to us. You have no colonies that we recognize. You have no rights in our space. This system isn't claimed by any assembly member," David protested. The Vorath's eyes narrowed. "Everything is assembly space, human. You exist here only because we allow it. Now you will surrender or we will take your ship by force." David looked at his crew. They were civilians, families traveling to start new lives. They had no weapons, no defenses against a military vessel. "We surrender," he said quietly. The assembly boarding parties were not gentle. They herded the crew into the cargo hold, separating families and confiscating personal belongings. When a young mother tried to keep her child with her, a Vorath soldier struck her across the face hard enough to draw blood. The child screamed and other humans moved to help. But weapons were raised and the message was clear. One human managed to activate a hidden recorder before it was confiscated. The footage showed everything. The casual violence, the contemptuous treatment, the way assembly soldiers laughed at human fear. That recording was transmitted to Earth before the ship's communications were shut down. Within hours, every human in every colony had seen it. They saw their people beaten and humiliated. They saw children crying for parents taken away. They saw the absolute contempt in alien eyes. On Earth, in the underground command center that housed the Space Initiative, Director General Patricia Wong watched the footage for the 3rd time. Around her, military commanders and government officials sat in grim silence. "How long until our fleet is ready?" Patricia asked. Admiral James Fraser stood up, his weathered face showing no emotion. "Every ship can be combat-ready in 72 hours. Our crews have been training for this scenario." "The colonies?" "All 8 have defense systems online. They're hidden but functional." Patricia looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. "For 3 years we've stayed quiet. We've watched and learned while they mocked us. We've built our strength in secret while they assumed we were helpless." She paused. "They've crossed a line. They've hurt our people. What's the consensus?" The vote was unanimous. Earth would stay quiet no longer. The galaxy's reckoning. The assembly station Harmony Heights orbited a gas giant in the Tertian system, serving as a regional command center for patrol fleets. Inside the command chamber, Fleet Coordinator Zexthor reviewed routine reports with the bored efficiency of someone who had done the same task for 200 years. Nothing ever happened in this sector. The most exciting events were usually navigation errors or minor technical failures. His communication console chimed with an incoming priority message. Zexthor activated it with one of his forearms, expecting another mundane update. Instead, his bioluminescent skin flared bright orange in surprise. Multiple unidentified vessels detected entering Tertian space, the message read. Configuration unknown. Technology signature does not match any known species. Zexthor immediately opened channels to his patrol commanders. All ships, this is Coordination Central. We have unknown contacts in system. Move to intercept and identify. 3 assembly patrol ships changed course, moving toward the incoming vessels with confident ease. They had handled unauthorized visitors before. Usually it was some minor species that had wandered into assembly space by accident. A show of force was typically enough to send them running. Commander Vrel of the patrol ship Dominant Justice watched his sensors as the unknown vessels came into clearer view. There were 5 of them, moving in tight formation with a precision that suggested military discipline. Their design was strange, angular, and efficient in ways that seemed almost familiar. Scan complete, his sensor operator announced. Commander, these are human vessels. Vrel's mandibles clicked in amusement. Humans, the primitives from Sector 7. He broadcast on all frequencies, using the standard assembly translation protocols. Human vessels, you are in violation of assembly space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. The response came in clear, unaccented assembly standard. This is Admiral Fraser of the United Earth Fleet. We are not in violation of anything. This system has no assembly claim registered. We are here to establish our presence and retrieve our people who were unlawfully detained. Vrel was so surprised by the quality of the translation that it took him a moment to process the actual words. Unlawfully detained? You have no legal standing in assembly space. You will comply immediately or face military action. Then face military action, Fraser replied calmly. We tried diplomacy. We tried respect. You chose violence against civilians. Now you get us. Vrel signaled his weapons officer. Fire warning shots across their formation. Let's remind them who controls this galaxy. The Dominant Justice's plasma cannons discharged, sending bright bolts of superheated energy toward the human ships. But the humans were already moving. Their vessels scattered with acceleration that made Vrel's eyes widen. The warning shots passed through empty space where the humans had been milliseconds before. Impossible, Vrel breathed. Nothing moves that fast. The human ships reformed their pattern and then they fired back. What hit the Dominant Justice wasn't plasma or lasers or any weapon Vrel recognized. Metal projectiles traveling at a significant fraction of light speed slammed into his ship's shields. The shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered almost no resistance to solid matter moving at relativistic velocity. The first projectile punched through the shield and carved a hole through the ship's secondary hull. The second destroyed the main engine assembly. The third hit the weapons array. All of this happened in less than 3 seconds. Vrel found himself looking at damage reports that shouldn't have been possible. His ship was crippled, completely combat ineffective, and the humans hadn't even used their full arsenal. All ships, evasive maneuvers, he shouted into the fleet channel. But it was too late. The other 2 patrol ships were already taking hits. One lost power completely and went dark. The other managed to get shields up but watched helplessly as human missiles weaved through its defensive fire, like they had minds of their own. On the bridge of the human flagship Vindication, Admiral Fraser watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Ceasefire. Broadcast our message. Across the Tertian system, across every assembly communication channel, the message went out in 63 different languages simultaneously. This is the United Earth Fleet. For 3 years we have listened to you mock us. We have watched you dismiss us as primitives. We have heard you laugh at our expense. You believed we were helpless children stumbling through space. The message continued as human ships moved through the system with practiced efficiency. You were wrong. While you laughed, we learned. While you mocked, we built. While you ignored us, we studied every weakness in your systems. Every flaw in your tactics, every gap in your defenses. At Harmony Heights Station, Zexthor watched in horror as human vessels appeared on sensors throughout his sector. Not just 5 ships, but dozens. They were everywhere, moving with coordination that suggested extensive planning. Get me the high assembly, he shouted. We need reinforcements immediately. But reinforcements were facing their own problems. Across 15 assembly sectors, human fleets had appeared simultaneously. They struck patrol stations, disabled communication relays, and rescued human prisoners with surgical precision. The attacks were coordinated across thousands of light years, demonstrating organizational capability the Assembly had never suspected humanity possessed. On the transport ship where Captain David Chen and his crew were imprisoned, the lights suddenly went red. Alarm sirens wailed through the corridors. The Vorath guards looked at each other in confusion, trying to get information from their command structure. Then the hull shook with the impact of docking clamps. Metal screeched as something cut through the outer airlock. The guards raised their weapons, but what came through the breach moved faster than they could react. Human soldiers in advanced combat armor poured into the ship. Their weapons fired electromagnetic pulses that dropped the Vorath guards without killing them. Within minutes, the transport was secured. A soldier approached David, removing her helmet to reveal a young woman with determined eyes. "Captain Chen, I'm Lieutenant Maria Santos, Earth Marines. We're here to take you home." David looked at the unconscious guards, at the human soldiers who had appeared like avenging angels, at his crew being freed from their restraints. "How?" he managed to ask. "We've been preparing," Maria said simply. "They thought we were weak. They were wrong." Similar scenes played out across dozens of systems. Human civilians who had been detained, threatened, or harmed were rescued. Assembly forces that resisted were defeated with shocking ease. Those that surrendered were treated professionally and held for later exchange. The High Assembly convened an emergency session on their capital station. Representatives from 63 species filled the Grand Chamber, their voices raised in panic and confusion. The humans, the species they had dismissed as barely capable of space travel, had just humiliated their military forces across multiple sectors simultaneously. The High Arbiter, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, tried to restore order. "Silence. We must understand what has happened." "What happened is obvious," declared Representative Korth of the Vorath. "The humans have been hiding their true capabilities. They deceived us. We never lied," a new voice said. Every head turned toward the chamber entrance where a human woman stood flanked by 2 guards in dress uniforms. She walked forward with calm confidence, her steps echoing in the vast space. "I am Director General Patricia Wong of the United Earth Government. We request permission to address this assembly." The Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "You attack us and then request to speak?" "We defended ourselves and our people," Patricia corrected. "You detained our civilians. You struck a mother in front of her child. You treated us like animals. We responded appropriately." She reached the center of the chamber and looked around at the assembled representatives. "For 3 years, we listened to you laugh at us. We heard every insult, every dismissal, every joke made at humanity's expense. We knew you thought we were primitive and weak. We could have announced ourselves then, could have shown you our true capabilities, but we chose to wait." "Why?" the Arbiter asked. "Because we wanted to understand you first," Patricia said. "We wanted to know if the galaxy was ruled by wisdom or arrogance. We found our answer." She activated a holographic display showing footage from dozens of incidents. Assembly ships ignoring human distress signals. Assembly officials mocking human attempts at communication. The video of Captain Chen's crew being beaten. "You had every opportunity to treat us with basic respect. You chose contempt instead. You chose violence against those who could not fight back. That was your mistake." Representative Korth stood up, his silver scales bristling. "You dare threaten the Assembly? We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, and we have already defeated your best forces in 15 sectors simultaneously," Patricia replied calmly. "Your weapons are powerful but predictable. Your tactics are ancient. Your technology is impressive but stagnant. You have ruled this galaxy for so long that you forgot how to adapt." She paused. "We haven't. Humanity spent our entire history fighting, struggling, and overcoming challenges. We learned to innovate because we had to. While you were comfortable in your superiority, we were becoming something you never expected." The chamber fell silent. Finally, the Arbiter spoke. "What do you want from us?" Patricia smiled without warmth. "First, immediate release of all human personnel in Assembly custody. Second, formal recognition of United Earth Government sovereignty over all systems we currently occupy. Third, reparations for damages caused to our people and property. Fourth, a permanent seat on the High Assembly with full voting rights when impossible." Several representatives shouted at once. Comments for next part.